Yo, it's holiday season. I got my fucking Christmas socks on. Hello you guys, Alexa B Alchemy here. It is holiday season. For today's card pull, I'm going to be using the Sacred Creators Oracle deck, especially for those of you that are looking for a little bit of balance or a little bit of peace of mind during this crazy holiday season. I hope that this reading is helpful. And with that being said, let's move into the reading. So for those of you with predominant Aries placements, whether it is your sun, your moon, or your rising, I pulled for you the card that encourages you to fall in love with your own story. You are a storyteller, and the story that you tell about yourself and your life has a lot of power over your own experience. Right now might be a really good time for you to get clear about what your narratives are, what your stories are about your life, about who you are, about your capabilities. If there's anything in your life that seems to be particularly challenging right now, I would encourage you to, instead of focusing on the problem or the challenge, I would encourage you to look at what your narrative is around that problem. Ask yourself, what is the story I'm telling myself? Am I telling the story that I am not capable of handling this? Am I telling a story that this is challenging? Am I telling a story that this is simple? I think taking a moment to get really clear about what it is that you are telling yourself or the world around you, I think starting here might give you a little bit of a seed for understanding how to deal with whatever this problem is. This card also is encouraging you to share your story and to share the best iteration of it. So when you have identified what the story is that you want to tell yourself, there's also an encouragement with this card to share that with others around you. Given that it is a holiday season, there might be a few more opportunities to connect with people. And I think a big encouragement that comes with this card is to connect from a very heart-centered place, especially if you are catching up with people that maybe you haven't seen in a long time. I have a feeling that you might have some really potentially meaningful conversations that could come up, and the best way to pave a path for that to happen is to be honest and open about your story and also cognizant of what the story is, again, that you are telling. If you had a really, really tough year and that is a true piece of your story, there's definitely an encouragement here for you to be open to sharing that. With that being said, there's also, again, an encouragement to understand what your narrative is about that. If your story that you're sharing with people around you, especially with family or friends, people that you're catching up with, maybe people that you haven't seen in a while, if the only thing that comes out of you is, I'm really upset and life sucks, just have an understanding of whether or not that's the narrative and the story that you want to take. There's a lot of power in saying, like, okay, there were these challenges or there are these challenges in my life, and very honestly, this is how I'm showing up for them. This is what's difficult, because that creates a level of relatability for you. Again, in sharing your story, you're sharing the honest truth of it. However, knowing that the story that you tell is going to dictate a lot about your experience, if you want your experience to be hopeless, then you can present the story as such. However, if you want there to be an underlying feeling of hope, like if you want your story to give you a sense of hope, start there and understand that when you are sharing the story with other people, maybe that the downsides or the negatives are true. But if there's also some level of truth that you want to step into and saying, I am overcoming this, or I have overcome this, or this is something that I want to work through, you have a lot of strength and a lot of power in stepping into this new narrative right now. So just remember that you are the author of your story, you are the author of what you're sharing with the world, and if this doesn't necessarily apply so much on an emotional level, you can also look at this when it comes to business and understanding that, like, your brand is a reflection of you. So whatever it is that you're sharing or exposing to the world around you, if that is a reflection of who you are on the inside, then it's up to you to determine how you want that to come across. So main message for you, my dear Aries, there's a lot of power in storytelling. There's a lot of power in the stories that you tell yourself and the stories that you tell other people. So really get clear about what you want those stories to be and start acting accordingly and sharing those stories accordingly. And if you are afraid to share it, or you are afraid of certain pieces of your narratives, this is a really beautiful opportunity for you to look at those and find love for them and find ways that you can connect with them in more meaningful and almost inspiring ways, so that you do feel encouraged to share it. Okay, my dear Taurus, for anyone who has predominant Taurus placements, especially your sun, your moon, and your rising, your encouragement for this upcoming week is to identify yourself as being the muse or a muse. There is a degree of radiance that you carry with you, or that you can carry with you, and that level of radiance is inspiring not only for yourself but for other people. If you haven't felt particularly radiant or worthy of being admired, looked at, however you want to phrase it, this week might present some opportunities for you to explore why that might be the case, and more importantly, to get back in touch with places in your life that do make you feel that way. There are certain activities in our lives that we may engage in that make us feel like we have a lot of room to grow, maybe don't make us feel super great about ourselves, because we understand that there's a lot of growth that needs to happen. And there are other areas in our life that we may step into and we feel this natural sense of radiance, this natural gift that we have, and we're able to share that. And your encouragement, my dear Taurus, is to step into whatever activities, circles, communities, anything that's going to bring out that sense of radiance within you, so that you can A, share it with other people, and B, feel it for yourself. This card also implies a level of, I want to say like fertility, not necessarily physical fertility, but like fertility with creativity, fertility with ideas. So you may be feeling like there are a lot of ideas kind of bouncing around in your head. Maybe they've been downloads that you've been getting and you haven't really made sense of, and now you're coming to a place where those downloads, those inspirations, those tinglings, I'm getting the word tinglings, but those things that you're kind of feeling pulled and drawn to, those are meant to illuminate something for you. So the more that you walk into those, or the more that you embrace those, the more that energy you're gonna basically cultivate within yourself. And that energy is very powerful, and it's going to be very important for you for this upcoming week. So I would encourage you, my dear Taurus, to take some time to very intentionally tap into whatever those energies are. I love that this card also comes with the question of what lights you up right now. I think different chapters of our lives, we can be lit up by different things. That's one of the most beautiful parts about life, in my personal opinion, is the spice of life, and realizing that some seasons, maybe you're going to gravitate towards more physically creative projects like doing art or painting or sculpting. And other seasons of life, you may be drawn towards creativity in the form of music or sound. And other areas of life, you may feel more drawn towards creativity within your business. And there's these different ebbs and flows, and different things are going to light you up at different times. So get clear about what are the things that are lighting you up right now. You don't need to worry about what lit you up in the past, and you don't need to worry about what's going to light you up in the future, because the nature of life is change and cycles and shifting. So whatever season it is that you're in right now, if you want to get the best out of it, it will likely serve you to get very much in touch with the side of yourself that feels inspired. And if you're not feeling inspired, create space for that energy to come through. That inspired energy is not only going to benefit your work, but it's also going to benefit the work of other people and the people around you. So know that when you take this time, it's not being selfish, it's giving yourself and your community the gift of inspiration that's going to come from deep within. And any talents that you have, anything that you feel like you have this sort of like infectious energy and you haven't really necessarily shared it, this week you are very much being challenged to step forward and to share your talents with the world, whatever way that looks, whether that means getting on stage, creating a YouTube video, publishing a song, publishing a work of art. Like, do something that is going to outwardly share this energy, because at this point it deserves to be shared. And again, this is not only a self-serving thing, this is going to serve as inspiration for other people. So pay it forward, bring that creativity to the forefront, and be willing to share that with the world this week. All right, my dear Geminis, for anyone who has a predominant Gemini placement, especially your sun, moon, or rising, your encouragement for this week, this upcoming week, is to cozy up with risk. I did pull this card in reverse, hence it is upside down. So this card, this message for this week, there might be a level of imbalance or shadow that you might be working with. There are two different ways that this is likely manifesting. One of the ways that you may see it manifesting is this fear, this obsessive fear with risk, with taking risks, maybe an unwillingness to do so. Maybe you're feeling a little bit stuck or stagnant because you don't want to go outside of your comfort zone. There's also a possibility that you are fearing things unnecessarily when everything is actually going according to plan. So there's this degree of like being afraid that there's a lot more risk involved in what you're doing than there actually is. On the flip side, again, being pulled in reverse, there's likely some kind of imbalance. So it's also possible that you may be experiencing the flip side of this, which would be taking too many risks and blowing your risk out of proportion. Maybe doing things that are just like obnoxiously unhelpful to your situation. And I think you will know which one of these might apply to you. I think for most people when this card is pulled in reverse, it is more acknowledging the first. I get this underlying feeling that there is a fear of growth. There is a fear of change. There is a fear of something that you actually probably want in some capacity. The message that kind of comes through when I pull this card in reverse is almost like analysis paralysis. Like I feel like there is a piece of you that wants to move forward and is feeling called to move forward and is trying to head in that direction, but because of this fear of risk, it's paralyzing your ability to do anything. So you're not stepping into who you could be, you're not stepping into things that you could do because you're afraid of the risk that's going to come with those endeavors. It's a stupid phrase, but the phrase "you gotta risk it to get the biscuit" is one of my favorites. There is a degree of risk that is required for us to have changes within our lives. When you come up upon risk, it usually means that you are aware, you are pushing boundaries, and you are willing to take action on things that maybe you haven't taken action on before. This is kind of the epitome of life. So in this process, you are living, and if you are experiencing fear, especially if you know deep down that the fear that you're carrying is probably a little bit unnecessary, maybe logically, like, yes, there's a degree of fear that's important, but if you are of the mind and you understand that the relationship you have to whatever this thing is being blown out of proportion, you are coming from a state of being afraid of living. If you are afraid to make mistakes and afraid to learn, then you will continually push off these learning experiences until you're ready for them, which isn't inherently terrible because eventually you're probably gonna have to learn the lessons. But if you choose not to learn the lessons, then you will remain stagnant and you won't have the growth that I think it is that you're actually seeking. So this week, a few things that you are being encouraged to ask yourself are, am I blowing risk out of proportion? Am I ruminating over things that I can't change? Am I worrying about something that hasn't even happened yet? Like get clear about where your mind is going and what the stories are that you're telling yourself about this situation, this event, this thing that you're looking at. And be willing to address the fact that areas that you feel incapable of moving forward are probably just areas that involve a level of risk, whether it's an emotional risk, a physical risk, psychological risk. There's something in your life that's going to require you to step out of your comfort zone and put a little bit more trust into yourself and into the universe. So if you want to get the best out of this week, my dear Geminis, I would encourage you to look at where those patterns are coming through and take some time to understand where you want to show up differently, where you want to change, and where you want to cozy up with some risk. All right, my dear Cancers, if you have Cancer in your chart, especially your sun, your moon, or your rising, you have a very encouraging message this week, and the message is that you are epic. Something I'd love to note with this card, if you look closely, you will see that it is actually the seed of life, and at the very, very top there is an opening. So this opening is kind of symbolic of a path being opened for you, something showing you the way, and you're being encouraged to ask yourself, what seeds did you plant that have yet to bloom, and what gifts are on their way to you? So getting really clear about where you are on your path and what, like, the amazing things that you have coming your way. This card is very symbolic of the combination of intuition and logic and the culmination of everything that you've learned throughout the course of your life to bring you to the place that you are currently. There's a level of this like warrior energy that I get out of this card. Anytime that I pull it, there's this like kind of just, I think this card honestly is acknowledging you for the work that you've done, the work that you've put in, the story that you have, and where you are along your journey. And that place that you're at is actually quite fucking epic. And if you take some time to connect with that, I think you might agree. And if you don't feel that way, my dear Cancers, this week is a phenomenal opportunity for you to begin tapping back into that energy. To me, what this card insinuates, if you don't already feel this, is that you have all the experience, you have all the wisdom. Again, you have all the seeds planted that you need to get you to the place that you want to go. This is a really powerful gift because it's opening you up to possible positions. Again, things that are going to come into your life, things that are going to be coming towards you, things that are currently blooming, and those things are also going to serve as seeds for other people. A tree will drop a seed and the seed will become another tree, and it's a continual process. So understanding that you have planted the seeds for your growth and you are in the process of growing, and that part of the cycle is a beautiful gift because you are now in a position where you're opening up the possibility to share this gift with other people. Also, when this card comes up, I think it's important to recognize that there is a level of stability and a level of planning that's probably going to benefit you for this upcoming week. So If you're feeling particularly ungrounded or you don't feel like you have a plan for your next best step, etc., maybe taking some time, especially if you have time off for the holidays, taking some time, even if it's like an hour in the week, to get clear about what it is that you want to bring into life for this next season. We are closing in on the end of the year, so if you have any kind of practice that kind of prepares you for the process of growth that you want to unfold over the next 365 days, now is probably a really good time for you to touch base with that. So this card is kind of the pinnacle of success. If you tap into this stability that you naturally have, that you inherently have, you're probably going to put yourself in a position where you're able to create order, especially creating order out of chaos. So if things have been particularly chaotic for you or kind of feeling like a whirlwind, this is a really good week for you to get grounded and get centered about what you want to bring into your life moving forward, and understanding that process of building your dream is not something that's going to happen overnight. It requires this kind of warrior type spirit, but you've already been harnessing that. You've been harnessing that this whole time. So I don't think there's anything for you to worry about. Just make sure that you are in a position this week where you can be open to divine inspirations, open to your intuition, also utilizing your logic. Basically, all the things that you've learned up until this point are providing the perfect roadmap for you to continue moving forward. So keep moving forward and know that everything that you are planning and creating for your life is epic. And if it doesn't feel that way, you are on your way to feeling like it is as such. All right, my dear Leos, if you have Leo, Sun, Moon, or Rising, or any other predominant placements in your natal chart, your encouragement for this week is to tap into your sense of goodness and kindness. I pulled the Good Kind card in upright position, and anytime this card comes up, there is a huge encouragement for you to make sure that you are leading from a place of love. With everything that you do this upcoming week, this is a time for you to tap into your ability to be generous, to tap into your ability to be giving, to be kind, to be nurturing to other people. The shadow side of Leo energy is that it can become a little bit egocentric or egotistical. And if you feel that this may be applying to you or applying to your situation, you are being encouraged to take a step out of that self-centered place and to start taking action from a very loving and nurturing place. If you are not feeling particularly fulfilled right now in your life or in your personal connections, I think getting clear about what matters to you from a heart-centered place and acting from that place will probably be your best form of guidance for this upcoming week. If you've been working super hard, it might benefit you to understand why and what it is that you're hoping to gain out of it. Are your intentions to gain more money? Are your intentions to gain more fame, more popularity? Are your intentions to serve other people, to build better connections, to create a family? Like, understanding what your intention is behind your actions and knowing if it's coming from a truly heart-centered place or from a place of lack, you probably want to get in touch with that side of yourself. Whenever this card is pulled, there's also an acknowledgement that you may be working for things or looking for things in the wrong places. So tapping into a level of joy in simplicity, joy in the simple things, especially with the holidays coming up. If you're feeling like, oh, I want this and I want that and I want this, and there might be like, I feel like there's like a list of things that maybe you're wanting from life, and if you can just reconnect with what you want on a deep, basic, primal level, like food, shelter, love, connection, and finding joy in the simplicity of those things. It doesn't have to be elaborate, it doesn't have to be crazy. I think a lot of what you're gonna benefit from for this upcoming week is the simplicity in the beautiful joys of life that are like inherently, I don't know how else to say this, but inherently good, because those things will ultimately be very fulfilling for you. So that wholesome, soul-loving side of yourself is probably going to want to come out this week, and I would encourage you to bring her out. All right, my dear Virgos, for anyone who has a predominant Virgo placement in their chart, whether it is your sun, your moon, or your rising, your encouragement for this upcoming week is to tap into your feminine energy. So when I say tap into your feminine energy, I don't necessarily mean be girly. This card applies whether you are a male, female, or anything in between. And what it's encouraging for you to do is to step into your yin energy. Now, the way that feminine energy manifests is very cyclical. It's a restorative energy associated with darkness, moving slow, and is very closely tied to intuition. I think this week for you, my Virgos, you're going to be presented with situations that you're going to need to utilize your intuition and also utilize a level of your softness. Now, yin energy being the energy of moon or the nighttime, I think there's something here in the way of your sleep and your dreams, the things that happen in the dark, things that happen in the subconscious mind. that you might want to pay a little bit extra attention to. If you are the type of person that likes to journal about your dreams, or maybe you're having way more vivid dreams than usual, I think this would be a really good week for you to pay attention to those. There might be some messages or some symbolism in them that could be helpful for you along your path. There's also probably going to be a lot of power for you in, again, nourishing that feminine energy. So that can be very nurturing energy. But ultimately, at its core, feminine energy is the energy of reception. This is a really interesting parallel, because when you are nurturing someone, it feels like, oh, I'm giving things to them. But nurturing is usually more of a taking something in as a part of yourself. So there might be some connections with people. Given it's the holidays, you may be around family or friends, which could be either really challenging or really beautiful for you. I think being able to step into that nurturing feminine energy will serve you this upcoming week. This season, you might also be in a state of cultivation. So maybe you've planted some seeds and you're in a place where you're waiting for them to grow. And the feminine energy, because it is something that receives, is not going to necessarily take direct action. So I think your overall encouragement for the week is to allow yourself to pause and to slow down and to receive the things that you have asked to come forward for you. If you're feeling super tempted to work extra hard and go out there and blah, 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 I think you might hit a state of burnout or hit a state where you're not able to provide for other people or support other people. Your best bet right now is probably to surrender to some degree to the slowness of life and to allow yourself to move at a slower and steadier pace. Okay, so all my Libras, if you have a Libra sun, moon, or rising, your encouragement for this week is to get connected to the element of water. Now, this can mean a few different things. First thing that I like to note when it comes to this card, water is symbolic of emotions and intuition. So one of the things that you're going to be encouraged for this upcoming week is to get in touch with your intuition and get in touch with your emotions. If you have been putting them off or trying to focus on other things, kind of ignoring them, right now you have a really beautiful opportunity and you are being encouraged to allow yourself to feel the full spectrum of your emotions. You don't need to hold back. You don't need to be afraid. Whatever it is that you're feeling is there for a purpose, and it's asking for you to allow it to come up. When that emotion comes up, it gives you the opportunity to work through it, to ask why are you here, to understand it, and to ultimately make shifts and changes in your life accordingly as needed. And once you have given the emotion space to speak, and once it has been heard, it will dissipate. Especially given that it's a holiday season right now. For some people, this can be a really crazy time, but usually this is a time when you have a little bit of space away from work and your day-to-day life. So if you can carve out a little bit of time to address your emotions and the things that you are feeling, even if it's for 30 minutes out of the course of the week, I think it'll be really important for you to set aside that time for yourself. There's also an encouragement with this card to connect with the element of water on a physical and literal level. So if you have the opportunity or the option to take a bath, if you're near a body of water that's not frozen, go for a swim. I mean, shit, if you want to take an ice bath, you can do that too. But doing something that's going to connect you with the element of water. And like, I kind of feel like you need to wrap yourself up in a blanket of flow. And that is going to potentially help this process, especially if you're feeling like, oh, I have some emotions and maybe they're a little bit blocked. Draw a bath for yourself, set a timer, tell everyone in your family, everyone around you, hey, no one bug me between this hour and this hour. This is something I need to do for myself, and give yourself the space to work through things. One of my best tips when it comes to emotions and working through emotions is to create almost like a schedule, or create like a block of time where you know you're going to go into an emotion. Especially if you are afraid of an emotion, like if the emotion is anger or sadness, it's really easy for us to try to push them off or to try to ignore them, because on a subconscious or deeper level, we're kind of afraid to really move into that emotion and to really feel it. But if you block your schedule and say, for 20 minutes, I'm going to allow myself to feel this, or 5 minutes, give yourself a structure where you can feel comfortable enough to say, okay, I'm gonna move into this energy, this emotion or whatever, and after 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, I'm gonna give myself permission to leave that emotion, whether that means I've worked through it and it dissipates, or that means I have to dissociate. Basically creating a container so that you feel safe to address whatever that thing is. If you just go into it, you say, okay, sadness, come out and get me, there's a piece of your brain that's probably gonna feel like, well, what if we get overwhelmed by this? What if we can't escape it? And it's not gonna let you move into that, because subconsciously you're afraid you're gonna get stuck in it. Again, creating that structure for yourself allows you to feel safe enough to really dive into it. And as I noted at the beginning, once you dive into it, you give yourself the space to actually work through it so that it can dissipate, so that you don't have to try to get rid of it. It will rid itself. So short and sweet message, but a very important one. Get in touch with your emotions for this upcoming week. Create some space for that. Create some space for yourself to connect with the way that you are feeling and what your intuition is telling you. And trust that you're gonna come out the other side and be completely okay. All right, my dear Scorpios, for anyone who has a predominant Scorpio placement, sun, moon, or rising, I pulled in reverse for you the card of gratitude again. Now, anytime a card is pulled in reverse, it can imply something that you might have a little bit of shadow with, a little bit of resistance to, or something that needs a little bit of self-care. Maybe you need to turn within and look at yourself instead of projecting on the world around you. And given that this card is all about gratitude, your primary challenge for this upcoming week is to spend some time in a state of gratitude. I always recommend doing a practice of gratitude every single day, whether or not this card is pulled. And what that can look like is waking up and writing down 5 to 10 things that you're grateful for. Try to pick something new every single day, and this will get your brain in the habit of recognizing and acknowledging things in your life that you're grateful to have. The more that you focus on them, the more that they're going to amplify and the more you're going to see of them. So ultimately, you're changing your life by changing your perspective of it. Having been pulled in reverse, one of the first things that comes up to my mind is actually having a level of gratitude for things about yourself. So maybe as part of this practice, make one of your gratitudes every single day about something that has to do with you, whether it is a gift that you have, a physical attribute, intellectual capacity, some part of your character, your personality, whatever, something about yourself that you enjoy and are grateful for. You may find being pulled in reverse that there is some resistance to this activity right now. Maybe you're feeling a little bit down in the dumps, or you're feeling like it's hard for you to find things to be grateful for, or maybe you're just feeling like I don't have the time. But this week, if you want to find yourself feeling successful and balanced, I think that level of gratitude should be your primary goal. The more that you see small miracles in your life, the more that you're going to create opportunities for them to continue, because you are allowing your brain to see the potential and to see these as a reality. Like, you'll see small miracles here and there and there and there, and suddenly they become normal for you. And the more that those become normal, the easier it is for you to believe that they're going to continue to happen, and that ultimately creates like a whole new level of manifestation for yourself, because what you believe is possible has shifted into something so much greater than what it once was. So if you are looking to manifest things in your life, looking to change things in your life, you need to start with a level of gratitude. And if you have any questions on how to do this or any personal tips, please feel free to reach out, as this is a practice I have been employing for almost 2 years now, and it has made a drastic difference in my life and my experience of it. All right, Sagittarians, anyone with a Sagittarius sun, moon, rising, or predominant placement, I pulled your card in reverse today, and your encouragement is to befriend the word polarize. Now, having been pulled in reverse, this is something that might be a little bit challenging for you. You may feel like you have some level of resistance to it, or it might be asking you to look at things within yourself instead of projecting out on the world around you. And your key theme for this week is polarity. Whenever this card comes up, it is acknowledging that there is something in our lives that maybe we are afraid of tapping into a state of polarity, meaning we're afraid of being different or having a different opinion than the people around us. And allowing that difference to exist and allowing that polarity to exist is going to be really important for you. There is no life without yin and yang. The duality of life is incredibly important, and sometimes we, as humans, because we want to connect with people, can shy away from situations, conversations, etc., where we highlight our differences because we don't want to feel or be ostracized. Biologically, this is a very normal reaction. This is very healthy. However, where we are as a society right now, we have this amazing ability to think differently, and that innovative way of thinking can be really progressive, and some will absolutely love it, and some are not going to like it so much. I have a feeling that you have some ideas that might be a little bit unconventional. You have some things that maybe you're feeling or seeing that some people may not like, and you may have been hesitant to share it with the world because you don't want to polarize people. And you're being encouraged right now to allow that polarity to exist. If you are hiding things that are true for you, or hiding opinions that you stand by for the sake of avoiding confrontation or avoiding conflict, I have a feeling that that's not going to serve you this week. There is a lot of power in agreeing to disagree, so my advice is definitely not to be combative and not to try to start shit with other people. Especially with the holidays coming up, I know that this can be a little bit of a tense time for people. However, if you know that there are just things about you that are different than the people around you and you've been trying to hide it or feeling bad about it or feeling guilty about it, just understand that it is a gift. You're not going to be everyone's cup of tea, and that is completely okay. So you may have some innovative ideas, you may have some things that you've been feeling called to, feeling like you want to tap into that you've just been resisting for the sake of how other people will react. But your challenge for this upcoming week is to allow yourself to go there and allow yourself to polarize other people. In the process of doing this, you will see where other people actually support you, and you will find a tribe that believes in what you have to say. So if your fear is no one's going to accept me, that's not true. You will find people that will be on board with you. And creating this level of polarity doesn't mean that you don't have the opportunity to connect with other people. It's simply going to delineate for you where you stand, where other people stand, where you are similar and where you are different. So I would very much encourage you to allow that polarity to exist and to also know that other people will think differently from you, and it doesn't mean that you have to give them any less love, and it doesn't mean that you have to ostracize them. It just means that you have to understand that there are areas in life where there will be differences, and that's okay. All right, my dear Capricorns, anyone with a Capricorn sun, moon, or rising, I love the card that I pulled for you guys this week because I think it is incredibly resonant, and the card is Inflow with Money. Now, I am a Capricorn sun, so I also resonate very heavily with this message. The primary message for you this upcoming week is a level of being in a state of abundance thinking and therefore on track and in flow with money. Now, the beliefs that you have subconsciously or consciously about money can very much dictate what your actual experience is, and they will either help or hinder you on your process of acquiring it. If you believe inherently money is hard to come by, I will never make it, it's going to be this, blah, 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 you'll probably see yourself showing up in ways that reflect that story back to you, and it's going to continue that cycle of thinking. Now, having been pulled in the upright position, I have a feeling that that's not the state that you're in, and if it's the state you have been in, there will be a shift for you this week where you're enabling yourself to get back on track and get back realigned with that state of flow and abundance. And the way that that may manifest for you is narratives and stories that you tell yourself about money are things like money comes easily to me. If you haven't read the book Money Flows Easily to Me, I recommend that you purchase it, give it to yourself as a Christmas gift, read it. It's a very short, simple read, but there's a lot of power in it. And what it boils down to is the narratives that you tell yourself about money ultimately dictate what your experience of it is. If you're telling yourself money flows easily to me, I can make this happen, I can make this work, you're coming from a very proactive place and your actions are likely going to reflect that. The more your actions and beliefs are aligned with that, the more it will be reflected back to you. So I do recommend that you take some time to get back in touch with those beliefs. An encouraging message with this card is that wealth is on the way to you. So if you are not feeling its presence right now, it is coming, it is on its way. If you believe that that is the case, especially, it will make this process feel a lot simpler and it will be a lot more inspiring and exciting for you. And if on a deep level you don't believe that that's possible, then your work this week, my dear Capricorn, is to start shifting your belief system around money and your beliefs about what it means, what it entails, and how it serves you. So pulled and upright, there's a lot of encouragement here for your relationship to money. I think there's a lot of potential for you to have healthy developments in your relationship to it. And if you have a healthy relationship to it, that's going to be really beneficial for you this week. And I encourage you to maintain that positive perspective. All right, my dear Aquarians, for anyone who has an Aquarius sun, moon, rising, or predominant placement in your natal chart, one step ahead is all you need this week. You do not need to do everything all the time, all at once. You only need to take the next best step. One of my absolute favorite encouragements for people, especially if they are resisting something or something feels challenging, just do the easy thing. If you are trying to get back on track with your fitness, for example, and you're saying, oh, I want to go to the gym and blah, blah, instead of saying, I need to go to the gym 5 days a week, your primary focus, just take one step at a time. Your primary focus, put your shoes on and just get there. You don't even have to work out when you get there. Just get to the physical gym. Once you've gotten there, then you can do the next step if it feels resonant to you. And you're constantly basically creating a lifestyle where you only have to take small incremental steps. You don't have to do the toughest thing. If you're constantly saying, oh, I need to do this crazy thing of going to the gym 5 days a week and I haven't done that in a long time, it makes this simple, not necessarily easy, but this simple change in your life feel overwhelming and debilitating sometimes. You're basically looking at like, what are all the things that I have to do? And you're looking at a massive to-do list instead of just one little thing. So if you can divide up the things that you have to do and just take it one step at a time with each one of those, make an incremental step every single day, you don't have to do the toughest thing. I think that's gonna really benefit your progress, especially in this upcoming week. You're in a season right now where determination, perseverance, and slow progress is going to be your primary teacher. And this means 1% better every day, not 100% better every day. So especially if you've been really hard on yourself about these things, or you've been feeling like you're lacking, or you're just not making the progress that you need to make, again, this season right now is teaching you the value of slow and steady progress. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Over time, I think you'll turn back and look at all of these mini little steps that you've made along the way and see, wow, this has actually been an incredible milestone that had to happen very progressively, incrementally staged. And at some point when you turn back again, you're gonna look at this path and see how all of these little steps lined up to actually bring you to this long overall goal. So right now, yes, acknowledge where the goal is, acknowledge where you want to get, but do not focus on the bigness of that task. Just focus on what's the next step that you have to take in order to get there. So one step ahead is all that you need, my dear Aquarians. Do not pressure yourself, do not stress yourself out. It is the holiday season right now, so you don't need to be going overboard. You just need to make small incremental steps every single day. One of my favorite observations is that a lot of people overestimate what they can do in one day and they underestimate what they can do in a year. And I think a lot of this comes down to the way that we are looking at our goals and how we want to go about achieving them. So if you know that you're going to take one little step every single day, the progress that you're actually capable of making with that is incredibly high. And if you're focusing on, oh, I have to do all of these things and I got to do it all today, I think eventually you're going to demotivate yourself and you're not even going to achieve half of those. So baby steps, my Aquarians, baby steps. All right, my dear Pisces, for this upcoming week, you are being encouraged to acknowledge where you might be distracted in your life by shiny things. Whenever this card comes up, it is an encouragement for you to get very clear about what is meaningful to you in your life, what is right for you, and there's a level of knowing what's right for you at the right time. I have a feeling there might be some situations that come up, maybe some opportunities that pop up for you in this upcoming week that may look really good on paper or seem like, oh, this is way too good to be true, but on a very deep inner level, you know that it is not right for you or not right for you at this time. And these lessons are here to teach you what is just fluff and what is just kind of entertaining and kind of hold your attention and blah, 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 but it's not really something on a deep level that you actually care about. Or if you care about it, knowing that it's not necessarily something that needs to be involved in your life in this particular chapter. Something to consider whenever this card comes up is whether or not you actually have a plan for where you want to go and what you want to do, or if you are kind of just gliding around looking at what other people are doing and saying, oh, that looks nice, I want to have that. Oh, that looks nice, I want to have that, without really taking stock of what is meaningful for you personally. So the things that you are longing for and desiring and the things that you want, especially if it's something that someone else has or you're feeling like it's coming from a place of envy, which is not an inherently terrible thing. It's just something you probably want to be aware of so it's not controlling your life. If you're noticing that coming out of you, then understanding that what other people have and what you're desiring and what you're longing for, those things are like a barometer of what's possible. Like that's a measurement for you. That's a tool for you to see, oh, that's possible. Cool. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's what is aligned with you or aligned with you right now, and it's probably not even something that on a deep level you really care about having. So if you're looking at other people's lives, just be cautious of whether or not it's coming from a place of, oh, that's really cool, I really like that, yeah, I'd like to experience that for myself, or if it's coming from a place of unhealthy comparison and, oh, I want what they have, but I don't have it, so I'm gonna go try to create something else for myself to distract myself from the things that I actually want, but I'm not willing to put in the work to get. Also, the word shiny comes through really strongly with this card. So if there is something that is shiny about you or about your life, maybe, understanding what that is. Like, what makes you unique? What makes your life unique? What is the unique brand? Like, if you had to brand your life, what would that look like? And how would it differ from the people around you? Because there's so many different amazing brands. There's so many iterations that these types of things can have. And none of them are right or wrong or perfect or imperfect. But they're gonna speak to different people differently. So acknowledging what it is that you really want to see out of your own life and your own experience, and not allowing the personal truths of other people to detract you from your own, I think that's gonna be really, really important for you for this upcoming week. So given that you are a Pisces or you have Pisces energy, there is a level of boundaries that can sometimes be challenging for this sign. It's the shadow side of Pisces. If you feel like you are taking on the desires, wants, needs, wishes, etc. of the people around you, maybe just take some time this week to step away from all of that, get clear within yourself about what it is that you actually want, and acknowledge whether or not any of those things you're seeing externally are mirrors to you of what's possible and what you would like to achieve for yourself, or if they are simply distractions which are ultimately meant to reconnect you with the things that are meaningful for you and your life. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. It was beautiful to have you, and I really hope that this reading was helpful. If you have not already, please make sure that you follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and here on YouTube at alexab.alchemy. I am a personal coach, and I work predominantly with people in executive and leadership positions to create better life balance, deeper self-love, and more fulfilling lifestyles. So if this is something that you or someone you know may benefit from, please shoot me a message. Let's schedule a free 15-minute call. And if not, I hope that you continue to tune in for these readings every single week, and that they provide the guidance that you are needing and looking for. Wishing you guys a beautiful week, and I will see you guys on the next one. Cheers!